Hey gamers, I'm Amos McCandless and welcome to the Guerrilla Report. Capcom just threw us another sequel classic, Resident Evil 5. RE5 is the 7th edition to the action-packed zombie-killing franchise Resident Evil that everyone knows about, and some say RE5 is a game they've all been waiting for. The Resident Evil franchise has for over a decade been a poster boy for horror video games alike, and throughout that it has had fans worldwide trembling in fear. However, as of the release of this game, the most recent question on every Capcom junkie's mind is, does the newest installation in the Resident Evil franchise live up to the long-building hype? The main character, Chris Redfield, makes his return to the franchise. Hardcore Evil fans will recognize his familiar face from the original Resident Evil that debuted back in '96, but this most recent edition, the game has gone through a few changes. But enough summarizing, let's get down to the overall gameplay, controls, and graphics. Graphics-wise, it's tough for us to think of another game that's as realistic as Resident Evil 5. In fact, its levels are almost as crisp and clean as those in Gears of War 2. This game is completely realistic and makes you feel like you're actually surrounded in the game's environment when you're playing. This alone is a reason to check out the game. Gameplay-wise, the story mode is interesting during the most of the game, but it's annoying whenever you have a sidekick whose only real job is to follow you around through the map. Capcom introduced a new playable character into the franchise named Shiva Alamar. She kinda reminds me of Pikachu from the old Pokemon games for the Nintendo Game Boy, where she follows you around non-stop through the whole freaking game doing absolutely nothing. And of course, I must bring up the pet peeve of many gamers through the years of Resident Evil. Scanning every room for objects that you may or may not need later on gets real old real fast. And although the franchise has gotten better about the whole process of picking up items, it's still incredibly annoying. Control-wise, the game can be a bit hard to get comfortable with, but eventually you will tend to get used to the hordes of merciless zombies coming at you from every direction. However, the gameplay definitely does have some cons that we have a hard time overlooking. When playing as either Chris or Shiva, we notice that the gun is practically a useless weapon. Not only is your knife more powerful, but the gun has a tendency to hold a maximum of only about 8 bolts at a time. This is where our interest in the game started to become a battle between realistic and fun. The zombies you will encounter in Resident Evil 5 are all very realistic, and though the game is not as fast-paced as other zombie-based shooters such as Left 4 Dead, you will find that kicking, uppercutting, and punching these zombies to death can become pretty entertaining. There is also a menu option that allows you to track how many headshots, kills, and deaths you have gotten. This is definitely a cool little widget that they added to the game. As many have probably heard, Resident Evil 5 has come into some criticism for its alleged racism due to the main character, a white male, killing countless amounts of black zombies. That claim is completely false, and gamers should not be afraid to play the game due to this. RE5 takes place in a made-up country in Africa, a continent primarily populated by Africans who happen to be of black skin, which isn't really that racist at all if you think about it. I mean, take me for example. Say my grandma got turned into a zombie, and she was trying to kill me. Would I kill her? Of course I would. Does that make me anti-family? Hell no, it just means that I don't want to get killed by my zombie grandma. Overall, this was visually impressive. It looks good, sounds good, feels good, and plays good. So here at Guerrilla, we are giving Capcom's Resident Evil an 8.6 out of 10. The graphics were more beautiful than ever. However, a few gameplay flaws did happen to end up getting in the way of our overall enjoyment of the game, but that's your call to make. I'm Amos McCandless, reporting to you from the front lines of gaming.